Our final game of the day, and is Fnatic versus KOVA. We have got a bit of an important match for KOVA here. Fnatic, they are still top of the table. They are still in a comfortable slot. They are currently tied, obviously, with Riddle. If they were to lose here, there is that good chance that Riddle could overtake them and potentially take that first spot in Group A. But if they win, they essentially consign KOVA to the dustbin. KOVA will be going into relegation, guaranteed, if this is a win here for Fnatic.
Yeah, especially because what you just talked about with Riddle. Riddle are currently 1-1 with Fnatic, so if they're able to possibly force a tiebreaker, then Riddle has been looking in great form as well. So yeah, obviously KOVA, they are coming into this one as heavy underdogs, but maybe they can take some inspiration of Granite Gaming and go for some of that six-pack factor, as we saw earlier during the day.
I think as well, you can't really understate the importance of this for Fnatic, because tomorrow they face up against Nordavind. And I know Fnatic's been on decent form recently, but that's a game I could see Nordavind challenging, whereas Riddle are against KOVA. And, you know, as much as KOVA could upset here, Riddle are really on good form. So you want to secure this win, lock that spot in first place, and come out convincing towards playoffs.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you as well. I think if they win here, there would be one win clear of Riddle for the remainder, unless they lost to Fnatic. I think I need to double check the standings right now. It looks like they are currently tied, but they have this game in hand. So if they were to lose here, it would be 11-4 for both Riddle and Fnatic. Then if they lost to Nordavind, it would be Riddle's chance to potentially take over regardless of tiebreakers, right? So this is an important game for Fnatic to retain first place anyway. And KOVA, this is backs against the wall. I mean, if KOVA don't win here, it is goodbye, you know, back into relegation. Obviously, they have the chance to work their way back in, but you don't really want to find yourself fighting for relegation. And with 2 wins to their name, it will split. That is the lowest number of wins that any team has in the NLC in total. So, you know, they definitely, if they're going to find form, it has to be now.
Yeah, and I think it definitely comes down to the draft phase as well. So far from KOVA, it's not always the easiest win conditions. They opt in for themselves, and every time we talk about teams struggling, we always talk about the ease of execution. And I think especially in a meta like this that is so skirmish heavy that we've seen a lot of players talk about, I think it's all about finding your comfort and going for what you know how to execute. So it's not always going to be about that macro, but just about outplaying your opponent in a skirmish heavy rotation rather.
It's actually pretty interesting. We've seen KOVA ban Nocturne and Jace. We haven't really seen them prioritized on the current patch as much in the early bans. So as a result, a lot of power picks have been left open. Ziggs is one of them. Set still open available. We see KOVA, they pick up the Ziggs likely for Snurmy, but they actually locking the Graves as well, which was buffed on this patch.
Yeah, and you know, we have seen that lethality Graves in the jungle, but not only that, we have seen the Graves in the mid lane for KOVA before, where they were flexing it around. Didn't go too well for them, unfortunately, but this is still something that we have seen.
Most KOVA games don't go well for them. So I don't think you can blame the Graves for that one.
Listen, you can't do that to them just yet. Not like this. Too soon. Actually, too early. But obviously, on the side of Fnatic, they are drafting some of these heavy rotations that we see with the first pick, Viego, obviously one of the strongest skirmishers coming into dispatch. And then Mundo, we have seen a lot of priority on that in the second rotation for the blue side, where it's just about having this stable laner. And then actually, a LeBlanc coming through from February. I feel like picking up the Lissandra here would help a lot. No matter how skillful of a player, as soon as you pick Lissandra into LeBlanc, that just sets you on a more even level between each other. And I think that would be great for KOVA.
Yeah, and the big thing here is that, you know, you have Graves who can provide that AD in the jungle. Graves and Lissandra is a really strong combo because you have the lockdown, you have all the damage coming in from the Graves. But it looks like they want to keep that flex alive, and they will go for the Nautilus in this situation. We did see Fnatic hover the Cogmore, and I actually think this is something that does well into the Ziggs, is if you take the Cogmore, because you can itemize Wits End early, and in almost every scenario, your support is doing AP damage, unless you're taking something like Pike. So in this scenario, Nautilus Ziggs, Wits End, really strong itemization to be able to just match into them in the early laning phase, and they can't beat you in terms of sustained damage. So would you see that Lulu being banned away from the side of KOVA, something that hasn't had as much priority just from the fact that Xin Zhao has been permanently banned, and it's usually paired up with that. Karma is another big pick that has been left open available, and Set has got through to the second round, so I could see Fnatic maybe targeting that one away.
Yeah, I was speaking to Chronicle the other day of the LCK, where he was co-streaming some of the Challengers League in Korea, and what they are doing down there is that, or wherever that is, my geography was never really the biggest strength, but what they're doing is that they're using the Cockmo as an AP into the 6, where you kind of contest with the range you get here. You can also go for the Swain in the bot lane meta as well. So this is some of the interesting, when you say new matchups, we get to see every time a new pick explodes on towards the Rift here. But Fnatic, they have banned the Camille, and it looks like from the way they're going right now that Febibin, he's feeling quite confident going into the Sandra. And I will say though, there are a lot of LeBlanc players I have met and talked to who still feels like it is a skill match that the LeBlanc can outperform if they're playing against the laner. They just don't feel like have the capabilities of understanding the matchup.
Isn't the matchup just press R?
It is, but at the same time, you can play around it with LeBlanc, where you kind of bait out the aftershock and try to just play around these windows that you get. And always with LeBlanc, obviously, it is going to be about that 2v2. Viego is obviously going to be the jungler going into this one, and Mundo towards the top side. I say that though because Maxi has played Mundo in the jungle, but we are expecting Fnatic to pick their bot lane rotation on this one.
Also does mean that we're probably going to see Graves in the lane somewhere, which obviously could be mid-lane Graves, which we've seen a little bit pop up. I haven't seen much Lilia lane. I mean,
it's fringe, but there's been a little bit of top lane Lilia ever since you got the changes. I could see it going into Mundo, legitimately, because you have the passive percentage HP burn, you have a lot of sustain when you're hitting him. I could actually see that going top. It's still fringe, and that's why it keeps it alive, kind of as a double flex. I know a lot of people would see that and think it's going to be Graves mid, but it's a possibility, and we'll kind of see more when they lock in their final pick there. We get the Braum Tristana coming in for the side of Fnatic Rising. Braum doesn't really do too much against Ziggs, but it does really mitigate any pressure coming out from the Graves or the Nautilus onto the Tristana. And obviously, if we do see KOVA overstep, you have that punish potential. And actually,
that's tough.
Okay, get the Vayne coming in. I think that's going to go bot. We can get the Lilium top lane, and then the Ziggs is going mid instead into the LeBlanc. So a lot of flexing.
Are you kidding me? What the? Okay. This is interesting from KOVA. I assumed the Vayne actually just would go into the Mundo and kind of bully him completely, but is this a matchup you've seen before, though? When you say Lilia top, is this something that's starting to rise in priority for some people?
Yeah, so I've seen it a bit more just because since the changes where they gave her the regen and the passive, and she's better at going toe-to-toe, particularly against tanks. You can just kind of burn them down and like heal against their damage. So, you know, we saw a little bit of lane Lilia when she was released. I feel like it's now more of a thing, which is why I could see it happening, but I haven't really seen it into Mundo, but I imagine that's one of the matchups that she can handle. Interesting though, the Vayne coming out, it means you have strong dueling potential against the Tristana. And obviously you can condemn the Braum away, which is pretty solid, but I'm not sure I'm a huge fan. The Ziggs into the LeBlanc matchup, you can't just kind of shove her in as long as Febivin can't find the angle, you have priority. So there's some interesting adaptations there. I think there's a lot to unpack and a lot of windows like where they may be able to find pressure, but it's definitely unique, and I think Fnatic probably will be a bit caught off guard by that.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, KOVA needed to draft something unique, I think, at the end of the day, if they wanted to try and take Fnatic on. This is their last chance to keep their hopes alive of avoiding relegation. It's an important matchup for them. Going to hand it over to Jamada and Initialize for our final game of the night.
Thank you so much from the desk. Orcs' brain is pretty big, Jamada. He called out the Lilia being a potential flex towards the top side, and it was.
We've said it for a while. Orcs is probably the smartest one on the broadcast. If we had to,
that's a bit concerning.
It is concerning, but don't let him know. But yeah,
too late.
It is definitely a very interesting draft coming out from KOVA. I think, you know, realistically, you take a look at where they are. You're like, all right, we're against Fnatic Rising. We are the heavy underdogs.
Sure.
If we go into the standard, we're probably gonna just get beat on. So for a curveball, and I think they've definitely done that here. Lilia top, definitely something that obviously Orcs sort of mentioned Rising potentially, but I imagine it's not something that necessarily Fnatic Rising have screened against a bunch. And as far as like, you know, Ziggs goes, everyone knows what Ziggs does at this point. The Vayne pick is definitely very interesting. I think gonna need a lot of time to obviously come online, but I do feel like a fair amount of this composition from KOVA can definitely buy time.
I mean,
it's going to be on Fnatic Rising more or less to kind of execute through this LeBlanc Viego. If you asked me personally, as a team, Fnatic Rising probably have the second most kills.
and at least total deaths.
That's really cool. I wonder who's
I would be
first.
interested to know who is first, but that's still some pretty exceptional stats. You know, loads of kills, very few deaths. That's what you want to see from a team that is looking like one of the favorites to take the split potentially, despite one or two slightly close calls perhaps in recent weeks. I remember the last time I was on, there was a Baron play that got a little bit done. Even yesterday, I know there was some moments where Galaxy Racer, I believe it was them yesterday, nearly got a bit of a decent early game lead, but it all kind of fell apart later on. Turns out things like Feather Zazir gets quite strong the later into the game it goes. Who would have guessed that?
Okay, it's Corporate Mundo, by the way. So if I get distracted,
that is such swagger. I love it so much. It's also like, let's be real, that Home Guard animation is just the most glorious thing. I'm in love with
somebody. I can't remember where I read it. It might have even been in here, but someone said when he's in the pool party skin, he should be in a boat. And I don't know what the animation is.
I mean, like, do you remember, like, when Rek'Sai used to have the farm alarm ultimate?
Oh, yeah.
The jet ski on that. Like, I kind of feel like maybe it's time that Mundo got a jet ski too.
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree. But, all right, let's talk about this game a little bit. Because,
okay, let's bring it back. You're right.
Let's talk about this game a little bit. Because, obviously, for KOVA, you lose this, confirm relegations.
Yeah.
You win, whether it's a miracle or not, there's a chance. And that's nice.
That's a really kind way of putting it, and it's nice, and I agree. And you've also got to remember that this is an interesting one for Fnatic as well, of course, because I mean, there's a little bit more to tie in here, because of course, after the win earlier, Riddle now tie in wins, and if Fnatic lose this one, they remain tied in wins, and Riddle play KOVA tomorrow as well. So like, there's the same team, both of these kind of top two teams are playing in the matchup. So there's a world where like Fnatic losing this actually leads to a tie for first place as well. So there's quite a lot being tied in for both ends of the table here, even if it's kind of a very small chance for both.
Yeah, I mean, you know, kind of argument. I feel like KOVA haven't really been the team that causes upsets. I'm just scrolling through.
Unfortunately not. They've only got 2 wins thus far, and a little bit of aggressive trading down here already, but yeah, you're kind of right.
The figures
really cause the upsets.
Yeah, like the wins that they've gotten, one came against Godsent, and the other one came against, as I'm doing my best to look for it, because apparently there's not many games. Granite. So,
there we go.
You know, it's not like they've taken down top tier teams. No. Unfortunately for them. Febi's playing with fire, but he's got Rux in the area, so I think he's going to be okay, unless he eats a random auto plus bomb.
Oh, I mean, it's not entirely far off, but Rux has put the door up and make sure that Simply doesn't manage to get a kill in that mid lane, and all the while it's Tattoo getting the shove in top, which is not entirely unexpected considering the amount of AoE available. And, maybe that's something to touch on here as well, because I'm kind of aware that like there's a lot of tanks come HP stackers for Fnatic with, you know, Mundo and Braum, and even, you know, Viego to an extent, right? Like he does often go towards things like maybe Divine Thunder or Immortal Shield Bow into some semi-tank items and try and survive long enough to get a reset. Like not always, of course, you know, there's later Inking Dots and the like, but I feel like potentially Vayne and Lilia aren't bad answers into that.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, there's not a lot of, well, there's none actually. No point in click CC to immediately lock down the Vayne from doing a thing.
True.
There is, of course, the concussive blows. So if Rux can get that layered in, and eventually you can right click her down and she will stop moving. There's chains. There is CC, but
yeah,
some of it or all of it almost not really instantaneous. So
yeah,
have to work around that a fair bit for Fnatic if we do get to that scaling point, because that is, of course, the thing with this KOVA draft. And also, I'm curious to see how the Graves does, because
for sure,
we've not actually seen Graves jungle in the NLC on this patch. Bean, he knows what he did.
Yeah, we're not talking about it.
Got the extra 2 AD. So Graves, of course, if we recall, was it last year where he got the 2 AD buff, and then all of a sudden he was meta for the rest of the year.
Really helped. I think he was like one of those ones where like how many rotations it took for him to clear certain camps was changed as a result of that, and that actually makes quite a big difference, because you're like, because Graves is so like auto reset.
Graves is so auto reliant, and in general, if I recall correctly, because of the way his shotgun works, 2 AD like works out to be a little more than 2 AD. comes to like.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's not like
he hits multiple bullets, so the 280 actually across multiple bullets. Yeah.
It scales a little bit differently compared to other champions.
I'm speaking about that like I know for sure, and I'm going to pretend I do. And everybody at home, you don't go double check that, because that way I make sure I'm right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how that works.
Don't hurt Initializer's feelings.
I mean, or if you do, just don't tell me. Like that'll work. I can live in ignorance. I'll be okay.
Yeah, Febby going for a trade here, and Outlandish, he's in the area. Knockback, pretty good.
Has to flash, and that's the clone popped as well, and will manage to get themselves out of dodge, but Summoner burnt for a nice outro charge. Nice stuff from Simply.
Yeah, definitely so. Great time gank as well from Outlandish, and that's the kind of pressure relief that you need in this lane against the LeBlanc, because now it's like, without the flash, kill threat a lot lower, quite frankly, from the LeBlanc. Does have Maxi here, but nothing's really going to come out of that. So KOVA, nice little advantage gained. But I do fear with their composition, they don't really want to be proactive until the IS spikes are on. And I think against a team like Fnatic, that could be an issue. You know,
could definitely be. I mean, it's giving like Maxi free reign to start up this dragon, which is a good start for them. You know, Viego plus LeBlanc is a pretty scary roaming duo, because, you know, mixed damage, you get the lockdown, Viego gets resets. All of that sounds horrible for KOVA. And it's not like they've got massive tank frontline either, so there's people they can just dive on and blow up.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's either going to be an Inferno or a Mountain.
Oh boy.
And either way you chop that, it's going to be tough for either team to deal with one of those souls.
Yeah, actually, for sure.
For KOVA, the added Mountain just actually makes them not necessarily so one-shotable. Obviously, a lot of these champions on KOVA utilize the Infernal Soul pretty damn well, to be honest with you, if we do get that. Yeah, go on.
Bit of a statement. I'm aware this is a little bit of a tangent. So feel free to not spend too long on it, but I want to ask this question. So it's something like I've been ruminating on a little bit with some other people and some other analysts. It's like this discussion that, okay, Infernal and Mountain Soul, both very strong, both work on a lot of teams, but Mountain Soul potentially actually disables more comps than Infernal Soul does. Like, if certain turns, actually, if the enemy team gets a Mountain Soul, there are certain comps which just suddenly can't play the game, whereas actually if the enemy team gets an Infernal Soul, you still potentially have options. Like, back when Rumble was more meta, if it was a Mountain Soul plus Karma on the other side, like, Rumble, who'd gone Night Officer, was just suddenly useless. And I wonder, and I'm curious to what you think about that kind of angle. Actually, Mountain Soul has a potentially higher upside in terms of the ability to basically completely destroy a team's win condition.
Yeah, I mean, generally, the Dragons are very situational when it comes to the Soul, I think, at the moment. I think they've sort of moved away from these big power buffs, as Febby, you're just being a nuisance. That's the point of the matchup here. Yeah, they're pretty situational to every single game, right? Like, if we had an Ocean Soul in this game, chances are it won't do a lot, because there's so much burst in it, right? Cloud would just maybe result in a few niche scenarios where fights happen a little bit, you know, faster. Tatoye on the Lillian, right on the window, just run quicker. That's all it does in this game. And then Infernal, I think that the thing with Infernal is it's so multi-purpose, right?
Yeah, like everyone likes more damage, really.
Yeah, everyone likes more damage. It doesn't matter if you're a tank, doesn't matter if you're a damage dealer, a bruiser, whatever. You can't go wrong with more AD or more ability power.
What you're saying is that in solo queue, I should always think about more damage, right? That's the lesson.
Exactly.
Thank you. God, brilliant.
Bean doing a great job of respect. He's got the vision and the information to work. Rux is also down here, and Max is also on his way. KOVA have to make a decision.
All right, here comes the fight over the wall. Potentially comes Viego. He's charging up that Spectrum more. Teleport. Tiara. That was not the kind of thing you want to see. I think we might be seeing some regicide here. The crown's about to be stolen. Heartbreaker force to make sure they're on the right side of the blast cone. Tiara gonna try and escape from as best they can. Not gonna matter though. And first blood of all people to go to is a Viego. Maxi takes that one, despite a bit of a chase required.
Yeah, I will say though, kind of interesting that Fnatic Rising pulled Pride down, because it seemed like they were going to make a play onto the top side of Tatoye. Tatoye did blow his flash to Febivin, who also did layer in the Ignite, so looks like he almost found an all-in. First blood goes over to Maxi, and we've seen what Viegos can do today already.
Yes, we have. I am slightly traumatized by that. Feels a bit appropriate considering, as we've said, the Sentinels event going on right now. Clearly need to unlock a few more of those regions to stop Viego doing all this horrible stuff to people. Maybe that'll come with some nerfs in the PvE. One can hope, potentially. Either way, there's a slight bit of bitterness from me now. We're moving on. Yeah.
Somebody doesn't like playing against Viego.
Just a little bit.
I guess.
I remember coming across a bug with Viego where he stole Elder buff from me and killed the rest of my team, which was just not good as to see. Is about to get dived in a horrible experience, but does land in the Lilting Lullaby, but it's not going to get Beam, but Outlandish is here, and that's a massive use of the Mega Inferno Bomb that Bean rightly flashes away from. That would be death.
He's got R.
Thinking about using that depth charge, but not going to quite look for it, but that was a good turnaround from KOVA to prevent what looked like a pretty surefire kill onto Tatui for that for seconds.
Yeah, and Outlandish almost had the collateral damage available. If he had it, Bean almost certainly would have been dead. Febby got the plate. Nice on him. But yeah, Fnatic trying to be proactive on the top side there, trying to find Tatui. Good little bit of a response coming out from KOVA as actually, yeah, I was about to say, are blown by Outlandish. Almost killed Rux. Not sure how Rux ended up in that position. I imagine ate a dredge line would be my best guess.
I don't recommend that. Doesn't sound particularly tasty or nutritious. Okay. Infected bone sores definitely do a fair amount of damage. This one, of course, is likely going to be Pride's first max.
Can I say something? I'm sad they changed the name of Mundoku.
I know. Cleavers was just it's stuck in my mind. Like it's the other one was Tormented Soil from Morgana is now Tormented Shadow, and it's just ingrained in my memory as Tormented Soil.
Yeah, I mean, wait, they changed Morg W?
Yeah, it's Tormented Shadow now.
Okay.
I think we came with the rework. I'm sorry to disappoint you further.
Well, that kind of makes me sad. But yeah, it's like Ninja Tabi, you know, like who calls them still? No one calls them still plate caps. No one does. If you do, you're either a zoomer or you're just okay with the fact they changed the name. And
yeah, no, I agree. Look, I understand that Dodge Chance has been out of the game for a while, and that's why they're Ninja Tabi. I understand. It's been a long time. But there's just some history there, you know?
Yeah, I forgot Dodge Chance was even a thing. That is before my time.
It was before my time too. I just know that bit of league history.
Yeah. They want to die Pride. Okay.
I don't mind this. Okay, let's see whether this works out. Pride will immune the CC. Gonna try and flash away best they can. There's a damage coming flying through. The Mega Inferno Bomb is there. All the while, Fnatic at least get the first turret. That was a fairly well executed dive, but it cost them some resources.
Yeah, Fnatic are so ahead when it comes to tempo on this plate. They're just gonna get 2 towers before KOVA can even get this tower to half HP.
Oh boy.
This is going to be a dead tier 2.
Yeah, Tristana plus Herald is pretty nasty.
If we could take a look at the gold, because I've got a feeling Bean... Oh, surprisingly, you know, it's going to be pretty close until the 500 in the lead now off that tier 2.
Okay, I'm slightly less scared than I was initially.
Yeah, Knight still definitely come out ahead in terms of, total gold swung in their favor. They take a 5-man to murder Pride.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we're going to get a replay right now, but you can sort of see the gold on the top end of this. Like, yes, this is a nice kill for KOVA, but it comes at a pretty hefty cost. We'll see this one more time, though.
Yeah, I mean, not really too much to talk about on this one. It's pretty nice execution from KOVA all around. They strip him of the spell shield to actually CC chain him. And once he's condemned into the wall, there's not really much else Pride can hope for.
Like, there is a problem here, though. Like, okay, look, there's still 3.5 minutes to all this Mountain Dragon. That's a big deal. Yeah. But, like, there is just a little bit of a lane gap going on right now. Like, I'm looking pretty much everywhere there is an AD carry, and, to except the jungle where Graves has been farming really well. But this Mundo, a long way ahead of this Lilia, which was supposed to be allegedly a bit of a counter pick. Tristana, even if she's not ahead in CS, has got a lot of those turret plates alongside, that big Terror jump on the top side. And then mid lane as well as 20 CS of Febby. Like, that is a lot of where Fnatic's fairly hefty gold lead is right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say, of course, you have to think about some of the scaling aspects. Not like Fnatic doesn't scale, but when you've got Vayne, Ziggs, Graves, Lilia.
Lilia, yeah, no.
It's clear what KOVA are going for. Yeah,
yes.
And it's
2 items to murder the tank, sure.
It's not trying to slaughter Fnatic in the early game. I don't really, off the top of my head, even feel like there's a team I could confidently say would be able to do that on a very consistent basis at the moment in the NLC. As sleep onto Febby.
They're thinking about this one. He's going to double the store, and that is going to be an unfortunately placed Mega Inferno Bomb. Yeah. Did lose vision there, and Febby does get far enough away. There was a collateral damage there as well, so you kind of see how that damage might have hurt, especially because, of course, sleep, I believe, gives the damage proc for next ability coming through from Lilia. Wasn't sure if that was just Zoe, but it isn't, and now Pride is in the spot of bother.
a little bit, but he might be able to just walk this one out.
No, he's going to force the flash out of the Lilia. He's pulled the suit jackets off, and he is down to Rumble. Flash out of Outlandish as well. He's just going to keep going. But Mundo just will not be stopped. No!
Oh my god. All right.
The stocks keep going up.
Huh. I'm not going to say it's problematic. However, it's not a position you want to be in 15 minutes into the game, all right? That's all. I will say, having a look at that sort of fight in the mid lane,
2v1!
a bit straight away. I mean, yeah, he does have a lot of health, and to be fair, Lilia is a very squishy champion. And you kind of have to think about how Mundo scales off of HP, right? You look at his build, Anathema's Chain, 650 HP, the Bammies, like, he's got 1k bonus HP. And he's got a lot of regen.
I suddenly feel the urge to sing, you know, Here Comes the Money, like real loud. But I won't do that to save everyone's ears back home. But go Google it, go stick it on YouTube or something. You get the idea, because Mundo is up 50 CS, has got a second item complete already, and is moving with the kind of swag we all wish we had.
Big Mundo. It's a very large.
There's a lot of phrases I want to use that are just not viable for being on air, but you guys can pick one. I'm sure they all work.
Everyone's pretty creative here. I will say one thing to worry about if you're Fnatic. Getting caught off by, you know, sort of long range sleepy, I was about to say sleepy trouble bubble, but getting put to sleep at a very long range by Tatoi into like the combination of a downtown Claro damage plus Ziggs ultimate. It's a lot of burst. Something that like, Bean and Febby have to worry about, because they don't have cleanse, so they can't really get away from that. If they get put to sleep, the best they can hope for is a reposition at best. And maybe Rux blocks some of the damage.
I mean, at least KOVA got an early Drake, so like the sole win condition isn't like.
By the way, Mundo's ending the game.
Oh my god.
No longer ending.
He's shoving up onto the next step, but never mind, the fight's continuing. Tatui is already dead. Lilia has been put to sleep quicker than she can do the same. Snowmy at least gets Rux, but that is a support for a top laner. Outlandish falls down to Pride. And I tell you what, the Lions rugby might be going on right now, but Pride is showing why Lions are roaring in multiple forms of competitive sports. Pride died, but at the end of the day, Fnatic still come up with enough health bars and 4 kills to their name to take themselves a second dragon.
Yeah, I don't know, from KOVA's point of view, you can let this dragon go. I feel like you're just kind of giving Fnatic a free fight to give him a free fight. You can let yourself scale. You don't need to be here right now. Tatoi just a little too deep, a little too quickly, ends up being bursted down, and off that, Maxi got the champion resets as well. On the backside, Pride, you know, does kind of remove Outlandish from the fight, but at the end of the day, doesn't really, like, Fnatic are winning that fight regardless at that point. On the front side, it's just an additional pain for KOVA to deal with. And honestly, I mean, good on Fnatic to find that fight, but I have to wonder why KOVA felt like this was the opportune time to try and fight. You got a Vayne, you got a Graves, you want that 2 item marks.
I'm going to say, look, I'll offer you a silver lining, a silver bolt lining, if you would, and that would be Snurmy, but literally the moment I'm about to talk about them, they are chunked out brutally by a Bandle Gunner, and Bean continues to just shrink people's health bars further than just hopping over the wall as well, continuing to be a scary little blunk on the side. And it's not just, unfortunately, the Vayne that's got a few kills to name. What is it with Viegos and getting obnoxious amounts of kills early today, Ramada? Because Maxi is 2 items in. Divine Sunder, Blade of the Ring King 401.
I mean, to be fair, both of our Viego players today have been pretty talented individuals, Maxi and Soft, so I don't think it's more of a...
Oh, dear.
Okay,
well, you could not bad. Maybe there's something, but the sleep's going to time out. There will be the Farsight Trinket to spot out with a long loss, but just can't quite close the gap, unfortunately. And Febby does get out with just a use of the ultimate there. And that'll be the ultimate down in trade for Tatui, which is on a significantly longer cooldown.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, Febby gets away kind of a murder there, I feel like.
It's the phrase of the day, along with a number of other things.
It is daylight robbery, getting away with murder. Pride pops his ass so he can basically stay on the rift. No real threat there, and it looks like it's on a pretty short cooldown. 50 seconds on it, so he's all right with that. And quite frankly, KOVA find himself 6,000 gold down.
Yeah.
Relegation, it's looming. It's looming, but you can't help but feel, at the very least, there is a small chance. However little it may be, it is still there.
It ain't over until the fat lady sings, or perhaps the monstrous doctor, but we'll avoid Mundo's karaoke moments until later into the game for now. Look, we know KOVA Scout. They've got some great champions for it, but the problem is actually doing so while bleeding out so much gold in terms of actually CS picked up. That is going to hurt them because, it's 20 minutes in and 6,000 gold is, plus actually at this point, is a monumental amount at any point in the game. And you can't fall so far behind that, actually, great, I've hit my 2 items. Yeah, the enemy team's on 4. That can't be the end result.
Yeah, it's exactly as you say. KOVA had to bleed a little slower.
Please bleed slower. Mundo might have other things to say about that. That Zhao Knight Doctor is... It's pretty good at making people bleed fast. It's kind of
what they had to do. It's kind of what they had to do, right? Like, they can't win the 2v2 mid.
Nope.
As far as jungle mid is concerned. Top side, kind of the same story. And as far as the bottom side goes, it's just Tristana into Vayne, right? Vayne going to be able to scale great, but the Nautilus matchup is into Braum, so you're just probably not going to win. And yeah, Baron is being started.
Oh boy.
And KOVA... They've got a lot of AoE, but this Baron's being burned.
Half HP, they can't make it. Tatui is finally here. Pride at half HP, which is something. Tiara catches out Rock, but if that's the only person that dies, that is a worthy trade. Baron down to so low! The smite was late, but it still won't quite go down. Tatui is now flashed in, but flashing out now is Featherman. Had to do that a couple times to get away from the lilting lullaby. But the only lullaby being sung right now, it feels, is KOVA's chances of escaping relegations. And that dream is swiftly fading, and that's what it was. It might have been just a pipe dream at this point. And Mundo continues to be the wolf of, if not the Wall Street, then at least the red side jungle. Walking through here with that swag walking, keeping everybody away. Fnatic get out with Baron on 4, and what do you do?
I don't know. I don't know at this point. For KOVA, it was only a matter of time until they ended up in a position like this, where Fnatic, they're on the Baron. It's so close to being stolen. Maxi doesn't even smite. Secures it with an auto attack, Blade of the Ruined King, something. Yeah. Very, very unfortunate for KOVA to not get the Baron in this circumstance, but it's how the game is sometimes. Even if you get that Baron, what is it other than a tool to delay what looks to continually be more and more the inevitable, as the gold graph. This isn't much a coaster. This is just steady right up. Or down to relegation if you're KOVA.
It might be, but the problem is, that's like you're looking at a mountain, zoomed out miles and miles away. I'd love to talk about the gold graph, and I just can't. Pride is literally becoming he just decided he's going hunting. It's deer season, apparently, in the NLC, and Lilia has died for the 4th time this game. This counter pick is down ATCS, and it is looking absolutely like it's lights out here in the game. KOVA have got a man down, a Nexus under siege, and a monumental 10,000 plus gold deficit to try and bat out their on-soul point against them as well. They could maybe just hang around and try and end it if they're being cocky enough, but no, they're going to play it safe. They're going to back out, and
mid lane.
We Scale Boys is running like a very faint, desperate hope right now.
This is like those games in solo queue where oh my god, simply someone, it's always that one person where it's like, guys, we Scale, just play out, just wait. We can get there. And then everybody kind of just breaks down and you start arguing. I'm not saying that's happening in the KOVA comp, of course, but it's looking dire.
This is it. This is the last dance. This is the last hope. Pride is still alive. Tiara is dead. Stolen away already. Maxi will get that one. He's looking for the crown in the NLC. Never mind just the one off Tiara's head. Pride now looking and trying to do as much as they can. Smurmy trying their best, but it's dead. Fnatic will pick up that one of them. Featherman goes on a killing spree. And now with 3 members dead, 24 minutes into the game, it's lights out for KOVA's split, and Fnatic will make sure the Riddle have to win tomorrow, plus Fnatic have to lose tomorrow to even consider contesting for the first place. And they're looking very dangerous moving into playoffs.
Yeah, they are looking quite nice going into playoffs. Of course, as a reminder, say tomorrow, it's actually next week, Tuesday.
Next game, next game day. The point stands.
The point still stands. Fnatic still looking like their very usual dominant selves. And yeah, KOVA, unfortunately, that's going to mean relegation series for them, and the rest of the group, division round, going to feel pretty happy about avoiding that one. And with that game today, every position is kind of locked. It's more about securing seedings for the playoffs teams.
Yeah.
Both relegations teams are unable to escape relegations, and as far as I am aware, no other team can make it and steal a playoff spot away. So it's all going to be to do with that final day and some shifting when it comes to the seedings, which can be very, very important in this double bracket format.
Playoffs spots might be locked, seedings are not. And unfortunately, we have a desk to toss to, no break this time, to break down both this game and the split as it stands. Don't you guys go anywhere. This will be important stuff to chew over.